Hello, and we are live with Crypto Talk now. Thank you to whoever happens to be here at the moment. And I guess we're going to wait a little bit. All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for a few more people to come on in. Hello, everybody who may be here. Just going to wait for a few more people to come on in before we start things off. And I do see a few more people came in. Thanks for so much for showing up. I do realize that there's some other live shows going on. I realize it's a big day for the likes of those with Shinja, aka Shinobi, and so on. I believe that Cliff and the rest of the crew still has their AMA going on as we speak. So I understand that particular thing going on. I want to give a shout out, of course, to Brian Dowie and Crypto McDizzle, aka Mike Cornwell. Thank you guys for showing up. Um, just basically going to wait just maybe about a minute, see if a few more people filter on in here. But in the process of doing so, I'm going to go ahead and get into what's going on with the overall crypto market before we kick things into the actual real news. Some big announcements that I want to make. Two key things with of course, Ripple, XRP, and so on. You're going to want to stay tuned for that. And then we have some other news highlights for XDC, believe it or not. Definitely want to bring that to everybody else's attention. I'm going to go ahead and present this right now. Before I do so, though, Pulse Chain, Jack Clapp, Trump just announced will markets pump with news and your opinion. Yes, I do think that in itself will definitely cause markets to pump because it did last time around. If you basically go back to, oh man, what was it, back in, well, way before 2016 election, when he made some of those announcements, we saw that. So I wouldn't be surprised if it happened again. I'm glad you pointed that out. Salamander in space, Salamander, the XDC commander. Hello, what's up? Good to see you. Bitcoin Mania, good to see you as well. Hello, Tim Shea, who says, hey. I do realize I saw some of you guys just briefly over at the the Shinobi V2 AMA. So I did see some familiar faces in there. I didn't have a chance to really just comment or anything like that. I was trying to prep for the show, but I did see you guys in there. Salamander, Trump to announce, okay, president. Yeah, I did see that announcement earlier. It's pretty big. And then Brian Dowie, sup, Tim Shea. And you guys are saying what's up to each other. All right, we're going to go ahead and get things started just here briefly. We're going to start things just for a moment, not too long, but what's going on with the overall crypto market cap and so on. And then, of course, we'll get right into some of that hot Ripple XRP news, was just released not too long ago. Maybe some of you guys saw it. It was just really recent, maybe about half an hour to 45 minutes ago. So I'm glad to see some of the familiar faces here. Like Coochie Boy, thanks for being here. Sup, back to you. Of course, Jack Clapp, everybody else, Brian. Thanks so much for being here today, everybody. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at that. And, by the way, Salamander, I just saw you came in not too long ago. If you didn't hear what I had to say before, I have some XDC news. I know that you're XDC Maxi, if you will. And we'll get into it right after the XRP news. So here we go. This is straight from CMC. Of course, like we know, at least most of us know, the overall crypto market cap is sitting at 846 billion on the top 100. Before we get into that, of course, what's trending, FTX is up a little bit, nothing too significant. It's, of course, FTT, right? The native tokens up to 172. I know some of you guys took advantage of this and so on, maybe preparing for the future, whatever the case be. We do, let's face it, a lot of us are into some of the distressed assets. I know I was with VGX. I know some of you guys were. I don't know if a lot of us got into Celsius after it became distressed and so on. I just want to point out some of that. As far as the 1 hour chart on the top 100, here's some of it. Nothing too significant, right? But on that 24-hour chart, our weave standing out again. I believe it was last week they were standing out. So is it a swing trade at this point? I don't know. I have to take more of a deeper dive into that particular one. I'm into both Chili's and Algorand. Notice how both of them are kind of doing somewhat great. Again, I feel as though, with what's leading up to the World Cup by the end of the month, those are two definitely keep an eye out for. And of course, there's some other ones. CRO is up about 5.5%. Terra Luna Classic, believe it or not, up 4.5%. Good to see that. And yeah, that's basically as far as the top 100. In regards to my particular watch list, let me just pull it up for a second. And here we go. So on the, give me a second. It needs to refresh. There we go. So yesterday, or maybe late last night, I can't remember. Well, how about this? Yesterday, we did talk about the Ali token, ALI. It's just, pronounced that way. The Alethea Artificial Liquid Intelligence token. You can get this off of crypto.com. And one thing I've noticed consistently with this, it's been a decent swing trade. Okay. So I talked about it yesterday. Sent out that alert. Basically, it was up over 100% and so on. And on the 7-day, it's up about 41%. You got to keep in mind, this was like at 0.00 like 8. I think it was yesterday. We'll take a moment to basically look into this. This was yesterday's pick, if you will. And if anything, let me go to 7-day chart. You could kind of just see for yourself, how it's been just that up and down, right? Again, this would have been a really decent swing trade, okay? And again, if you're wondering where you can get it, crypto.com, multiple, exchanges and so on. Not like, I should say multiple exchanges, like literally some of the ones you see right here, but the real one that stands out is definitely crypto.com. And heck, if you want to do the whole old school approach of Uniswap, you definitely could. But I don't know. I just wanted to point out a few of these that I felt as though were decent swing trades. But yeah, if you want to look into it more, if you still trust crypto.com and so on, you could definitely look into it. And heck, they're even on Gemini, right? All right. A little bit more in regards to our particular coverage. I'm going to hit the back button, show you guys a little bit more in regards to that particular watch list. And yeah, that one definitely shows up. SolSeal, a long time ago, we talked about that as well, because I was basically mentioning that during the whole time with the whole Phantom project, if you will. My goodness, anybody even talk about that particular project anymore? But SolSeal was definitely another one that it was the same concept. That one's up about 33%. Clearpool is spiking. It's up 20%. We literally just talked about Clearpool the other day. Volt, you guys saw quite a few influencers covering that. I know Rodney from My Crypto Journey was been covering quite a bit. I think he's sponsored by them. Bitcoin Pay, one that Mike Cornwell turned me on to. He basically said that one is one to definitely look into. I've added to my watch list. Is up about 10.5% and so on. But me personally, I'm keeping a close look at Chili's on the short term. On that particular one, I'm looking to, after this whole thing of buy the rumor, sell the World Cup, right? I'm looking to at least probably cash out half of my position, maybe more. And I might do the same thing with my algo, but maybe I won't. So, and if anything, I might DCA and get another bag of at least algo. All right. Going to kick it back into the comments just here briefly. Going to do, like I mentioned before, a little bit of the 5 minutes in, 5 minutes out. And let's see here. Next in the comments, we have a super chat. So let me just go ahead and highlight where I'm at. And I do see that we have a $2 super chat from Salamander, the XDC Commander. Thank you for that. XDC ecosystem, NFT huge. Yeah, we got some XDC news for you guys. Want to stay tuned for that. I know it's very low attendance as of lately, but let's face it, when it comes to, bear market and then go into crypto apocalypse, these things are to be expected. When we had a little bit of a rebound, like you guys saw, we had briefly went to, like, for instance, 1.07 trillion market cap, like that. Our numbers definitely reflected that. So I really just think it's just overall crypto market in general. There's obviously some of the standout, quote unquote, big influencer channels and so on who have, again, their consistent numbers and whatnot. But here at CTM, we have never experienced, at least on our live shows, a bull market. And if anything, I think we'll definitely stand out during that time. So it's a lot of just grinding it out. It's kind of like what you guys are doing, right? A lot of the grinding it out, recognizing how to, maybe buy some of these crazy lows, or recognizing like what Coochie Boy's mentioning. Is it really worth buying the dip and so on? Could it very well, could you time it even that much better? Teach his own, right? Let me see here. But yes, thank you again for the $2 super chat. Really, really appreciate that. Let me go into more of the comments. You guys saying what's up to each other. Thank you so much. Coochie Boy, about 8% is up if you look at this 7-day top 100. Awesome. Only about 5 out of 100. Okay. And a little bit more. Everybody giving each other dabs. That's good. Thank you again for the super chat. Let me go further down. Excuse my fat finger, please. Yeah, I got that problem all the time. All right, a few more people coming in. Thank you so much. I don't count the unstable stable coins. Yes. All right, Lily on fire today, eh? I don't think so. I mean, or is that from the old? I don't even know what's going on with Lily Finance right now, to be honest. Never heard of. Yeah, you definitely take a look into it on. I know a lot of you guys have crypto.com, whether you're fans of it anymore and so on. Look into it for yourself. It's readily available on there and so on. Crypto_God. Hola, grinders. Yes, hello to a fellow grinder as well. Good to see some of the people here. Thank you for joining us tonight. Michael Montclair, 550 XRP now. Yes, slowly and surely. You know what? That's the whole thing, right? Kind of like the case of the tortoise in the air, right? Being that consistent, steady type of guy. So good for you, Michael. Right on, man. And you guys are, of course, yeah. I mean, that's where it's at. That is where it's at, Larry. It's actually buying some XRP, right? Being consistent, but it's okay. All right. So how about this? We're going to go ahead and kick things into the hot news. Some of you guys may have seen this. Some of you guys may have not. I'll give you guys my key takeaway on this. Of course, I'd love to hear in the comments what you have to say in regards to this. So I saw this not too long ago. Okay. This is fresh from USA Today. It says Ripple adds new on-demand liquidity corridor with potential value of nearly 1 trillion. Here's where. This is huge, 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 huge for the likes of Ripple, XRP. You get it. All right. So going down a little bit further, 2 key takeaways like you see right here. Ripple's on-demand liquidity expands to Africa. No, you heard right. I'm not referring to the Saitama news with what's going on with the Sudan and the CBDCs. No, this is Ripple, okay? Quality over, well, you know what I mean. Other recently launched ODL corridors. Says in a recently published tweet, Ripple blockchain behemoth spread the word about a new strategic partnership that has allowed it to set up a new on-demand liquidity corridor with a high profit potential. In the tweet, Ripple mentions that Africa's potential for mobile money value is close to $1 trillion, 70% of this staggering amount. MFS Africa, no, I'm not talking about mother effers in Africa, is the biggest mobile payment gateway in Africa and its multiple clients in 35 countries. Of course, it mentions like, expansion and so on. Here's one of the key takeaways. It's going to be a low cost payment and so on. Of course, provides bigger speed. It's Ripple, for crying out loud. For its clients around the globe, ODL, of course, stands for on-demand liquidity. It says the necessity of bringing the system of electronic payments to MFS Africa has emerged as the amount of clients who are using mobile cash transfers on the continent is growing exponentially. It is expected that in the near future, the majority of mobile payments users globally will be from Africa and the Asia Pacific region. Listen to this: 70% of the global population in that general area itself. All right. Therefore, these areas are likely to attract many businesses that do just what? Wire payments, right? If you think about what's going on as we speak, the slow moving Western Union, they're literally targeting these specific areas because it simply makes sense. Again, the whole concept of getting to more of that mass adoption. Ripple's ODL will help them to basically access capital without traditional resources. As far as the official tweet, straight from Ripple on Twitter, it states they are thrilled to announce that our on-demand liquidity ODL solution expanding via our partnership with MSF Africa. Of course, like we just mentioned, the whole thing about Africa holding 70% of the world's 1 trillion mobile money value, and on-demand liquidity, of course, will further enhance digital payment rails across the continent. So, you see some of the terminology when it comes to cross-border payments, like with the likes of Quant, XRP, you name it. And on top of that, some of these things mentioned, rails across the continent. You see how Ripple is basically doing what? Advertising just where? In train stations, for crying out loud. We outlined it here at CTM multiple times. Anyway, I just wanted to bring this to you guys' attention. There's a little bit more in regards to this last part before I kick it into the next part of today's XRP coverage. It says other recently launched ODL corridors. Earlier this year, Ripple launched several other new ODL corridors. And basically, one was launched in Brazil via the local major Travelex bank. That was big. As Ripple's partner Trango expanded to the United Arab Emirates, a new payment liquidity corridor was launched there too. Finally, France and Sweden also hosted a new ODL platform in partnership with payments company Lemonway based in Paris and Xbot, a platform that sends payments and remittances from Sweden to just that of Thailand, right? Going from Europe to Southeast Asia. Pretty awesome news to hear this. Great positive things happen with the likes of course, Ripple. In regards to all this, not exactly, of course, Ripple and so on, but I do want to take a moment to share this with you. A little bit more news. And it says, wake up call, ex-SEC chairman among advisors in FTX bankruptcy. And it's just that, the SEC, of course, has lost a lot of trust. They've gone after the wrong people, if you will, put too much focus on the likes of Ripple and so on, where they should have put more focus on the likes of what was happening with FTX. But of course, why would they do that if there's accusations or an investigation, hopefully here soon, when it comes to their ties with what? This whole FTX conspiracy. So this was released earlier today. And of course, it mentions a few key takeaways. This particular gentleman, former SEC chairman Jay Clayton, it mentions Sullivan Cromwell of counsel Jay Clayton, who was chairman, of course, of the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission during the Trump years, is among advisors to bankrupt crypto exchange FTX.com. According to the report, FTX U.S. General Counsel Ryan Miller is a former Sullivan partner, according to the source of Financial Times. A little bit more in regards to this, Paul Weiss, partner of Martin Flumenbaum, who represented junk bond trader Michael Milken, is serving as a personal advisor to Sam Bankman-Fried, who of course resigned, as we know, last week. Lawyer John J. Ray, known for running energy trading company Enron during its huge accounting scandal, is now the CEO of the crypto exchange, according, of course, to the source from Business Insider. A little bit more in regards to this, Sullivan, Cromwell, and Fenwick and West, which had advised FTX on transactional work, deleted material from their websites that touted their relationships with the company, which until last week was thought to be worth tens of billions of dollars. Little do they know, you can still recover a lot of data even though it's erased. If you guys ever done any IT work like myself, a lot of times you can still recover things that are erased. All right, so Cincinnati-based Frost Brown Todd is adding 23 attorneys and 3 California offices through a merger with Alvarado Smith January 1st to create a 575 lawyer firm, according to Reuters. Again, there's just so much in regards to all that is posted here, but yeah, key takeaway, of course, is this former ex-SEC chairman among the advisors in the FTX bankruptcy. Why so much focus on Ripple when there should have been so much focus on FTX? I think, if anything, the floodgates are going to just come across like it's just going to be crazy opening that up. And also the investigations and the people that are involved, et cetera, et cetera. Let's take a moment, of course, to kick it back into the comments. Like I said, roughly about 5 in, 5 out. And I see a few more people here. Thank you for that. Tim Shea, Crypto.com added 260 million USDC in the last 24 hours. That's good. Brian Dowie is laughing. Quant is next for you. Oh, okay. Adding more to your position. That's good. Good. Caroline is the hot news. Yeah. To say the least. Yeah, so hot. Whoa, just really, really hot there, right? Yeah. All right. Max, too serious, LOL. I'm trying to up my game. That's basically what it is. Brian Dowie, gotta think something big comes out of Ripple Swell conference. Then a day later, UKPM announces their plans for CBDCs. Thank you for pointing that out. Tim Shea, just a matter of when. Brian, I think keep accumulating XRP. Yeah, that's my thing. I'm definitely trying to accumulate more and more. I'm going to reach my goal on my 10 quant, and then from there, it's just basically having a preference. And then 110, 100%. All right, let's kick it into the next part of our coverage here. Hopefully, everybody's having a great night. I really, really hope you guys are. This next part is really, really something else. Now, this is, of course, from the likes of Crypto Lulu. Highly advise you follow this particular guy. He's been killing it on the XRP coverage. Listen to this. Which banks are ready to use XRP? And if anything, I am going to give him an official new title. I don't think he necessarily follows me, but if he did, I might just go ahead and, I don't know, send him a tweet back or something. But I'm going to call this guy basically just unofficially right now the Magnum PI of XRP, or the Magnum PI of crypto. Why am I saying that? Because it's just what you're about to see right here. His private investigative work of how he's drawing the lines, connecting the dots here. Really, really cool. It's 1:25. Listen to what he has to say here. And if anything, I'd love to hear in the comments what you guys have to say about that.
My hypothesis is that if we can find these messaging codes within open source blockchain environments, so what I mean by that is the XRP ledger is open source, meaning any developers can see the code that makes up the XRP ledger. So my hypothesis is, if I can find these ISO messaging codes on the XRP ledger, that would show me a direct correlation between blockchain and a traditional finance message system. If I can find the point on the XRP ledger where it joins with ISO, the thing is solved, right? And this leads us to go even further than this. On the Swift website, I've managed to get access to not just the codes, but also the codes that are represented within each individual bank in the world, or at least all the individual banks that use Swift. I exaggerated there a bit, but it's a lot of banks, right? And so the whole idea is that if I can see these messaging codes on a blockchain environment linking the ISO messaging system, and I can see individual banks that have the capability to be able to use these certain message codes that directly relate to ISO 222, all of a sudden, that means, based on my hypothesis, I can see exactly which banks are ready to go with ISO 222 and which ones aren't.
Pretty interesting. Now, here's the thing. He has another part of this, and we're going to, of course, take a moment to basically see this here in a moment. Um, but I thought it was really cool to see, how he's, making the connections, if you will. Give me just a second to share this other one. Here we go. All right. So on this particular one, he mentions, are BNY Mellon actually ISO 222 ready? And we're getting to that right now.
We have a few banks here. Bank of America, JP Morgan, Citibank, and one really interesting one, BNY Mellon. So what does this mean? Well, I don't know. But what I do think it could mean is that we know BNY Mellon are going to be offering cryptocurrency custody services, kind of like cash account management, right? Theoretically, you could say that these accounts, to be ISO 222 compliant, could also incorporate the idea of blockchain custody or cryptocurrency custody via blockchain. I just thought it was interesting that BNY Mellon appeared here, and on some occasions it didn't appear with the other ISO messaging standards, but it appeared here. So if we look at the grand scheme of things, BNY Mellon, they're ready with bank account management ISO 222, but not some of the PAIN or PAX messaging standards. But they've already come out and said they're going to do custody. I mean, what I'm deducing from that is that BNY Mellon, they're ready for custody, but they're maybe not ready to do all the payments yet. And they may be one of the ones that aren't ready. Or maybe they are ready, and this is just the most recent report that was updated, and who knows when this report was made. But I will say, this data is pulled from something called a readiness portal. So this is where everybody comes in, all the banks come in and update the entity, in this case Swift, update them on what they're ready to go with and what they're not. And those banks that I just mentioned, they're ready for account management on the ISO 222 messaging stack.
Yeah, already ready to go on that particular standard. Pretty great research from Crypto Lulu. Again, highly advised taking a look into maybe following him. It's got a decent following, about 14,000 so on. Again, like it says, deep analysis and tips into XRP, Stellar Lumens, XDC, Algo, IOTA, HBAR, Quant, and so on. He's really been killing it with his particular coverage, especially taking like deep dives into it, investigative work, you name it. It's very impressive to see what this particular person has done. And I'm, of course, going to kick it back into the comments just for a moment. Let's see where we're at. Jaspel Singh. Hey, it's been a long time no see. Good to see you. Thank you for joining us here tonight at CTN. It has been a long time. And people will welcome you. This is good. April Cornwell. Yo, Max. How are you? I'm doing pretty good. Doing very well. Good to see you, April. Michael Montclair, 1,000 XRP, and I'll be happy. That's a nice interest bank. Can pay me monthly. Yeah. Especially we get some of these crazy market caps, right? Brian Dowie, it's cool how he can look at the Ledger blockchain and put everything together. Yes, I mean, you kind of appreciate the guy basically even just taking a stab at it and so on, and again, drawing his own conclusion. It's not saying that this is exactly what it is, but it definitely makes a lot of sense, right? All right, Michael Montclair, he's probably has Asperger's. They say they see patterns. Oh, geez. All right. Brian Dowie, he names some big players in the next video. Yeah. Michael Montclair is Swift linked with SWFTC coin. I do not know that. Maybe somebody else here can answer that. Let's go ahead and kick it into the rest of our coverage. Give me just a second. This one I want to show you guys. It's actually Gary Gensler. And give me a moment. So yeah, Mr. Gary Gensler. So it says, Dad. It says, one day my kids will say, quote, Dad was taking out his money and buying XRP. It says, Gary Gensler, make your dad proud. You know the truth. This is back, of course, when Gary Gensler was an MIT professor doing these particular lectures and so on. Listen to what he's saying. You can draw your own conclusion here in a bit.
Now, my dad, if he would have been, well, he was alive during this period, but he would have been taking his money out of the bank and getting gold. Simon, you haven't heard this story, but my dad always had some gold coins and a few diamonds. He inherently did not trust government. He also carried a gun most days, too. Now, my dad, if he would have
did not trust government, but yet we're supposed to trust you, Gary Gensler, and the SEC. The hypocrisy has no bounds, right? As Doc Holliday once said. Anyway, a little bit more. We're going to kick into the next part. Let me see. I do see I have, yeah, that particular one. We did see that earlier. All right, hold on a second. So what I was going to mention is what I'm about to share with you guys. This next topic is going to be about some of our XDC news. Give me a second. And it's just that there was basically like an AMA. Give me a second. I'm going to show you that. So if you guys saw this, it's right here. And of course, on a recorded video, we point out there was going to be an upcoming AMA. There basically was. As you can see right here, XDC Network Partnership AMA with Mixin Network. If you're wondering who they are, they state that they're basically a free, lightning-fast, decentralized network for transferring digital assets, IM and wallet on, of course, Mixin Messenger. And yeah, it was just this particular one is like 37 minutes. Of course, I'm not going to play it, but what I am going to show you is one of the brief ones, which is just a little short clip exclusive with the Chain Link podcast, which is a little bit separate from that particular one. But yeah, if you guys haven't had a chance, check out that particular AMA, especially if you're in XDC. It's going to answer a lot of questions that you may be wondering about and so on. Let me show you, of course, this particular one. So this guy, he's pretty cool. I mean, though he has quite a few followers, like 338,000. He's actually following me back and so on, which I thought was really, really cool. And listen to this. This, of course, is an interview with Eddie Cullen, CEO of Cresite Web3. Whether you're for this particular thing or not, right? It's a new Web 3.0 for faith-based institutions and ESG investments, basically launched on just what the likes of XDC. It was just, it makes news in regards to XDC and so on. Some people are getting into it because it's very low market cap and so on. Do your own research if you choose to do just that, get more into it. But this particular one is about 2.5 minutes, and it gives you an idea about what this basically is, because this is pretty big news for XDC. We'll take a moment to hear it, and then, of course, we'll come right back.
Would your user domains tie into the XDC blockchain?
Yes.
Would them be on top?
Yes. So we were going to announce this, in a couple of weeks, but maybe I can just announce it here. We actually did do it on XDC. So it's the first top-level domain for an enterprise organization in the United States. We like to think we got there first. We know blockchain.com ended up getting there with Unstoppable Domains, where they had .blockchain. But we actually feel that we got .fordham completed, and we did it on XDC. We did the top-level rooted domain. We built the smart contract, and we did it. And we're working, slowly but surely, because we want to make sure everything's done well and correct, and that's important when we're working with universities and students and schools. But, that'll be your identity for transaction, right? When you go buy a ticket at Fordham, you'll use your XDC top level domain, as your identifier. And that identity domain is a smart contract as an NFT, rooted as an NFT. And then that you're, I think it's okay. I deal in blockchain a lot, and I think sending, transactions with these long character addresses is okay for me, but it's not going to be okay for everybody, right? Like you might make an error typing in the wrong, number, right? Or the wrong letter.
Or another thing that always gets me nervous is, like, I'm in blockchain every day. I'm 100% crypto and blockchain, but I even get nervous when I copy and paste an address that when I click the back button to minimize my keyboard, I don't erase one of the last letters, and then I got to figure out what I just deleted. Like that's something even me, an experienced veteran in this industry, it still makes me nervous. So
Yeah.
the biggest thing is for one of my guests that was on the show a couple weeks ago, they mentioned the mom and pops. That's what we got to get to where the mom and pops understand this technology, and it's something that they can convert and understand and move forward with. And these types of domain names then would help people a lot instead of just a bunch of numbers and characters.
Absolutely. You know, and I think that's why I'm very close to using the word Web3, because I think, like I said, we're still in the top of the first. I don't know if you remember the mid 90s when you had to download all different sorts of things just to listen to a basketball game, right? Like you had to download 6 different things, the client, the server, all of this, you know, and I liken that to IP protocols of the day, right? If you had to tell me I had to go to 192.31.21 to get to Amazon.com, you're crazy, right?
All right, so I just wanted to share that with you guys. I mean, this is something that continuously is popping up on the XDC feed for Crest site. Check more into that if you want. But nonetheless, I wanted to, of course, bring that to you guys' attention. Of course, we have some more XDC coverage. It's going to go ahead and recognize what's going on in the comments just here briefly. Yeah, XDC. Let me see. That's not coming across the screen, but let me see what it was. Oh, that's a nice, cool looking sticker. It looks like almost like a marble from maybe 2-bit, something like that. All right. Do see, for instance, a super chat came in along the way. It hasn't came across my screen yet. There it goes. All right. Let me save my spot. And Salamander, the XDC commander. XDC is his #1, baby. It's on special buy now. It is. Let's take a moment. And of course, thank you again for the $10 super chat. We're going to basically show you guys what's going on with XDC as far as the price. Give me a second. So let's do that. XDC. Right up. Oh, man. That doesn't get pulled right up the way I want it. All right, there we go. Yes, as far as price, look at this. It's at a little over 2.5 cents currently speaking. And you know, you gotta keep in mind this was at roughly 3.5 cents for quite a while. Yeah, it is an absolute buy at this particular moment. And the market cap, right, compared to other of the ISOs it's an absolute buy. It's probably one of the most, if not the most, undervalued of the ISOs. My personal opinion. I get it. Casper is definitely up there as well, as far as being an undervalued one and so on. That's probably, I think, Casper, and then maybe ALBT, probably one of the few that are not part of my ISO list I have yet. But I definitely have some XDC. Looking, of course, the dollar cost average a little bit more into that. But yes, thank you again for pointing some of that out. And on top of that, let's get back into the comments. All right. So who's next? Let me see. Cody Core, howdy at work listening. Thank you for joining us tonight, Cody Core. As usual, thank you for being an OG. I remember you from literally day one, my friend. Thank you so much for being an ongoing supporter of CTN. Yes, people saying hello to him. Thank you again, of course, for the $10 super chat, Salamander in Space. And again, congrats on accumulating now up, I guess, even over 1 million, maybe by this time of your XDC. But I definitely saw, like you mentioned the other day, that you're up to 1 million. So that's incredibly awesome. Brian Dowie, you're going to kill it with XDC, Salamander. Yeah, he is. I mean, I know that when it comes to stating that somebody's a maxi, it's just like, for the most part, they're just only focused on one and one only. But we mean this in a nice way. At least I do. You are the XDC maxi when it comes to the CTN network family. All right. Brian Dowie. Yep. All right. Let's all kill it with some XDC. I agree. And right on Salamander, says Tim Shea. 1,500,000 to be exact. Wow. You are killing it with that. All right, a little bit more in regards to tonight's CTN coverage. Want to give you, of course, some more news. It is in relations to what's going on with XDC, because this is built on XDC. So let me take a moment to show you guys that. Hold on a second. So we present this. All right. It's this right here. So it says, remember that XDC has been purpose-built to be one of the most regulatory compliant tokens for global trade, finance, and asset tokenization. The future of asset tokenization, of course, built on just what? Built on XDC. And for whatever reason, I cannot get rid of this itch. Thank God I have the infamous Maximus back scratcher NFT, which is basically going to be an NFT. Anyway. So I want you guys to see this. This comes straight from Crypto Newsmart, the future of asset tokenization. And one thing I want to point out, of course, is just that it's not just about the whole thing of, yeah, this is part of XDC and so on. That's awesome. But another thing I was going to point out is you're going to see this more and more and more. You know, of course, last year was like the big introduction earlier on about NFTs. Now you're starting to see more of what's referred to as MATs, mass adoption token, or the tokenization of physical and digital assets, right? The tokenization of anything and everything, whether it's real estate, whether it's, you know, certain goods, services, and so on. How do you tokenize that? And if anything, how do you bring that to market? So I'm not going to, of course, do like a big lecture or anything like that on this, but I wanted to show you guys this particular thing. So, you know, it mentions some of the origins of this, of course, like what happened in the European Union, UK, and so on. But look at this, for instance. You know, this right here, it says in 2018, 1 billion worth of real estate was tokenized. This is long before we even heard about some of these things that you're seeing with tokenized, you know, assets, whether digital or physical, right? So it says, in 2018, 1 billion worth of real estate was tokenized, and this number is expected to grow exponentially in the coming years. The benefits of asset tokenization are numerous, and it is poised to revolutionize many industries. Let's take, of course, a look at the origins of tokenization, the current state of affairs in the European Union, UK, United States, and so on, that has taken place. Of course, there's a lot of the origins and so on. But one thing I definitely want to point out is if you're seeing the likes of, for instance, what's going on with XDC, you're having physical assets being tokenized using their particular blockchain. I think it's a big win for the likes of XDC. And it creates, again, that much more supply and demand. I think the key thing right now that's being recognized with XDC is that they needed to have like an official community, right? Like, yeah, there is communities, don't get me wrong, but as of lately, what we have posted and introduced to you guys, especially on the recorded, is as of lately, was like last couple weeks, a month ago, so on. They have an official XDC community, and if anything, like the saying goes, if you have a powerful utility, you should also have a powerful community. Or, for instance, the powerful communities out there, like, for instance, the Elon token, right? Doge on Mars, what's lacking, of course, is the utility. So both come hand in hand. And now, finally, with one of these proposals, they decided to, you know, come together and do this new XDC community proposal. And it got passed. And now you're starting to see more and more come out about XDC. And this is huge because, like I mentioned, the whole key thing when it comes to your cryptos is, in my humble opinion, and I'm going to go ahead and keep labeling this because that's basically what it is just that the crypto trifecta, what's trending combined with supply and demand. Those main things are the magic formula to basically see things go to crazy upside potential for those particular assets. Now, the use of blockchain technology for asset tokenization, of course, was proposed in 2014 by a company, listen to this, called Colored Coins. They used the Bitcoin blockchain to represent ownership of physical assets. While the idea was sound, the execution was not perfect, and of course, the project ultimately failed. Now, fast forward, of course, to a little bit more ahead, Ethereum, of course, emerged as the leading platform for asset tokenization. 2017, ETH's market cap surpassed that of Bitcoin and is now the second largest cryptocurrency by, of course, market cap. ETH's success is due in large part due to its ability to support the tokenization of assets. Whether, of course, we agree with those gas fees and so on, those smart contracts that are out there do support that specific thing, the tokenization of those particular ones and so on. We get the whole idea of the regulations, so on and so forth. Again, I don't want to make this so much of like a lecture and so on, but the key thing I want you guys to understand is that I think it's really, really cool to see this particular one, right? Basically being built on XDC. And you're going to consistently see this. I think if anything, you're going to see more and more projects wanting to come over to XDC because, like was mentioned before, the point I'm trying to make here is, remember how you heard the whole thing about Ethereum being like the #1 player, if you will? XDC is basically going to be, in my humble opinion, the ETH killer of those smart contracts. Why? Because of the fees. The fees are significantly lower, and if anything, on top of it, kind of like the correlation to XRP, it's a lot faster. Remember that one chart we showed you guys a while back, right? It showed the transactions per second compared to legacy blockchains like the likes of Ethereum, Bitcoin, and so on, significantly faster. Again, those particular ones, those legacy chains, they're just not innovative enough. I mean, yeah, ETH is going to a whole new phase. Bitcoin isn't. Bitcoin's still stuck in the mud, if you will, because of that darn Satoshi white paper, and it's a whole other discussion in itself. All right. Glad to show that to you guys. Gonna go ahead and kick it back into the comments just for a brief bit. And let's see here. Hopefully some of you guys squashed some of the spam that came in. And if you did, I appreciate it. Cody Core saying hello to everybody. Yes, my elbow cough. It'd be kind of funny if you guys actually had one. If it came through. Let me see something. Hold on. No. I just think it'd be funny if there was actually a custom one for YouTube. All right. Let's go further down. Sorry, 1,012,000 XDC to be exact. Man, even that much more impressive compared to what you just mentioned. All right, I'm going to skip some of the spam. Hopefully it got deleted. And thanks to any of the moderators who did delete that. Thank you so much. Ray Gamble, good evening, everyone. Yes, good evening to you as well, Ray. Let's see here. Is XTC, will it be worth will it be worth more than XLM? Is that what you're asking? Let me get some clarification from you. All exchanges can't survive a bank run, I think. Says Ray Gamble. Nice work, Brian. All right, how about this? Michael Montclair, Volt will transform the industry. Well, I think they're already doing some good things with their V2, and they are standing out. And with a big, passionate community and so on, let's face it, a lot of times, even without utility, if you have a passionate enough community, you can do some pretty decent things. And you basically see that, they're having a lot of upside going on as we speak, some of these decent pumps and so on. Coochie Boy, no one can predict the future. We just try. Yeah, true. You guys are saying hello to each other. This is good. Tim Shea, Ray, XRP, XLM, and XDC are a great trifecta. Yes. Coochie Boy, we could be stuck at these levels for 2 years. Who knows? I don't think so. But if anything, I hear where you're coming from. We can all agree to disagree. My thing is I am going to stick to somehow these cycles basically work and so on. If I didn't have that particular data and so on, then yeah, I'd probably be on board for some of this. But let's face it, if crazy things happen, like, are you kidding me, man? Freaking Russia, some of those missiles hit Poland and so on. I mean, technically Poland is part of NATO and whatnot. Not got to go down this rabbit hole right now too far. But yeah, if crazy thing, unforeseen circumstances, right? That's the key thing. But if anything, if we don't quite get to some of these crazy things happening, then I'm still going to, of course, stick to the script, if you will, I guess you could say. Anyway, Brian Dowie, do any of you guys still keep crypto.com? Keep crypto on exchanges. Yeah, I actually, here's the thing. I understand the whole debate of getting everything off of exchanges and so on, and put it right into cold storage and so on. I would like to hear what some of you guys have to say about some of that. Like I mentioned the other day, I think it was to Michael Montclair. It was to Michael Montclair. You know, I was trying to get some feedback from some of you guys about Arculus and so on. When he mentioned the whole thing about, you know, it's just a select few that you could put on there. That was kind of like, dang, you know, that sucks. So, you know, for me personally, it might be a thing in which I'm going to stick to the likes of Ledger and so on, but I do want to see more of the product reviews and so on. That's just something that I normally do anyway. But, you know, we all have our preferences and so on. But I would like to know from you guys, I mean, if you have been using cold storage, what ones do you personally recommend? I know a lot of other content creators, of course, you know, the one that really stands out obviously is Ledger. But do you happen to have, for instance, just that, like you happen to have an Arculus, you did like it for whatever reason, you did like that there was a few that you could put on there. What is, give us some feedback, let us know. I mean, this is what it's all about, crypto talk, you know, explaining some different points of view of like what you've used and how well it's worked out for you. Coochie boy, sure, I keep some memes on exchanges. Yeah, my thing is this, like I mentioned, you know, like Wendy O basically mentioned this as well. You know, for her, she took a course, she sold for loss and so on. And her attitude was she was not going to take everything and put it all into cold storage because she trades too much. That's my thing too. I do trade quite often. And that's my thing. It's just like, I don't know necessarily I want to do that. So my thing was, I think it was perfect timing to show, you know, like for instance, Exchange is literally messaging me on a notification, not personally, you know what I mean, but giving us the heads up, for instance, of the proof of what they have, proof of reserves. I think if anything, they instilled confidence, because I mean, a lot of confidence wasn't there anymore. And then on top of that, if anything, if the SEC was going to come at them, whether you're for the, you know, let's face it, we're not for the SEC, but if anything, it creates less doubt by making themselves, I guess you could say, more quote unquote compliant, just in case some of that regulatory framework was going to come their way based off of market conditions. Michael Montclair. Okay, so what about B-Rise? They are supposedly faster. That's my whole thing. You know, again, I realize I probably should look more into somebody who did a physical video recording, right? Showing like, look, here's the proof, right? All I've seen, of course, you know, was mentioned that they are, you know, the fastest blockchain, faster than Solana, and so on. I don't know. Maybe that's one I got to write down and just take more of a deeper look into. But that is what I heard, and if that is the case, there is tremendous value in that in itself, right? Brian, I have some, but most are in hot wallets, some connected and some not. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the case for a lot of us, right? You know what I mean? Like, not all of us are willing to put all of it strictly into cold, you know? It's kind of like the saying goes, to each his own. All right, Brian Dowie, Tim, where is Cool Cat when you need him? Lol. Right? Yeah, I agree. Brian Dowie took some of mine off on some exchanges in Canada. Huh. What? You don't mind mentioning what particular one in Canada? I'd be kind of interested to hear about that particular one. All right. Next up, we got Tim Shea. Michael, has B-Rise really been tested? Will it maintain speed with heavy traffic? That's a good question. If Trump wins the 2024, we go to the moon. That's a good point. Michael Montclair, Tim, it has new partnerships every week. Tim Shea, Max, that Poland thing is a what? Oh, distraction. Is that what you're saying? I use Ledger. Tim Shea, Michael, it may have partnerships, but it will maintain. I don't know. It's a risky play that may pay off. All right, let me go a little bit further down. I have a Ledger if you have Hawk Vision. Salamander, be careful if you buy Ledger from eBay or Amazon, not from a third-party seller. That's a good point. Yeah. Coochie Boy Plus, you can stake on exchanges. Salamander, buy the evidence from the official Ledger store. Buy the evidence. What did I say? Buy the device. Buy the evidence. Yeah, SEC, buy some evidence. Reading too much. Sometimes when you read a lot, like good problems, right? So I don't know if you guys have some of these problems. Like I read a lot every single day. And sometimes I'll see some of the same words all the time. And then when I see like something, it says device, clearly it says device. But when you read too much, it just sometimes it gets like literally I see it, but it comes across in my head a different way sometimes. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know if you can relate to what I'm talking about, but hopefully you can. Gucci Boy, my SHIB and Luna Classic is staked on exchange, gaining more tokens regardless of price. Nice. Brian Dowie, NDAX. I'm curious about your SHIB. So for me personally, I was staking with the likes of course crypto.com for a while. I was even doing like, I know it sounds nuts, but before I was doing like 3 months staking and so on. And of course, what happened last time around, they slashed that, got rid of staking for SHIB. And of course, from there, they even took even more harsh measures, if you want to call it harsh. If anything, I'm kind of glad that they did, because that might say that exchange. Let's be honest about it. But they slashed the whole thing with the was it the debit cards and so on, like on the Jade and all the other options you have. But yeah, I am kind of not concerned, but I would like to know where you have your stake SHIB at the very least. Luna Classic, I mean, let's face it, you could do Terror Station and some other places, but yeah. Index, okay. Night Cats, my crypto fam. All right, have a good night. Stake, yeah, you can stake on Ledger as well, says Brian Dowie. On exchanges, you can stake more coin/tokens. All right. Let me see here. So I got just a couple more things before we wrap things up. I just want to show you guys just here real quick. Give me a second. I'm gonna share this, of course, in a way for you could, of course, hear it. And this comes straight from, like it mentions, Watcher Guru. You probably maybe seen this because I know a lot of you guys follow Watcher Guru like myself. It says Citadel CEO Ken Griffin says, quote, on the balance sheets of FTX is a line called Trump lose, which is interesting. It says, and Sam was the second biggest donor to the Democratic candidates, which is like, draw your own conclusion here. 18 seconds. We'll be right back.
Called Trump lose. And Sam was the second biggest donor to Democratic candidates.
I'm going to leave it to everybody else to draw their own conclusions about what you're saying here.
On the balance sheet of FTX is a line called Trump lose.
It's crazy. Crazy stuff, right? And like the other guy said, draw your own conclusions and so on. Yeah, I already drawn my own conclusion. It's nuts. All right, a little bit more. There's this right here. This comes from Rich from Common Sense Crypto. I just thought I'd go ahead and just, of course, share this before we wrap things up. Oh, it looks like Mike Cornwell actually responded to him. We'll have to share that as well. All right. So Rich from Common Sense Crypto says he sees a lot of people saying Tom Brady was wrong in shilling FTX. Remember, Tom Brady didn't drop the ball. The SEC did. SEC was too busy going after Ripple and XRP when the massive fraud of Sam Bankman-Fried / FTX was literally staring Gary in the face behind closed doors. And it is just like that. I love this at the bottom. We'll get to that in a second. If you ever watched Scooby-Doo, which a lot of us did back when we were kids and so on, it's still a great cartoon. Let's face it, right? Compared to modern day cartoons. So look at this. Yep. Unmasking Sam Bankman-Fried. And it's just Gary the Gopher Gensler, right? Pretty interesting stuff. Here's this other one we shared the other day. Again, shout out to Mike Cornwell. You can see the connections. Sam Bankman-Fried, CEO of FTX, MIT graduate. Of course, Gary Gensler was the head of the SEC, or still is. Former professor at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Direct connection, of course, to Glenn Elson, who was the former boss of Gary Gensler and a professor of economics at MIT. And, of course, his daughter is Caroline Ellison, former CEO, I should say, of Alameda Research. Dated, of course, Sam Bankman-Fried. You can draw your own connection. Is there any more than that? Yeah. All right. So let me see. I think that's about it. That is about it. So I'm gonna go ahead and wrap up tonight's show. I'm just gonna read a few more comments. Good night, Michael. Did not mean to be negative. Just have questions about that one. Brian Dowie got rid of my Luna Classic. Only hold XRP, Quant, HBAR, Algo, and grab some chilies today. A lot of the people seem to be losing some faith in Luna Classic. But if anything, I'm still holding on to mine. But I am very very cautious about what's going on and so on. I did not add to my position anymore. My original goal with my Luna Classic was to hit 20 million, but I have not been dollar cost averaging more into it. That doesn't mean I don't believe it anymore. I became kind of satisfied at that point. I decided, you know what? I'd rather just take the money I have and what I've earned and so on and put that in the likes of like Quant, XRP, some of these other ones. And so I basically did just that. All right. You also grabbed some chilies today. That's good. Right on. Preparing for the World Cup, probably. That's so true. Tim Shea, Brian, I kept some Luna Classic staked on Terra Station and some other small bags. Still have a foot in the door. Brian Dowie, don't blame you, Tim. You never know. One day down the road, it could pop. It could. And the FTX connection with Senator Warren is insane. I haven't seen that about Elizabeth Warren. Huh. Interesting. Had to look into that. And, especially with how anti-crypto she is, right? Yeah. See how that works. All right. Right back at it, y'all. All right, guys. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up today's show. We went about roughly an hour. Real low attendance and so on. But, as you know, we have days like this and so on. Thank you so much for even joining us here tonight during these bearish crypto winter / apocalyptic times, whatever you want to call it. Are we going to go from crypto winter to crypto, nuclear wasteland? Are all the exchanges going to get nuked? Is there going to be nothing left? Or is it going to be like the ultimate buying opportunity and we go into a bull cycle? Anyway. All right. I'm going to read the last parts and then we're going to wrap it up for sure. Is Larry watching the Trump speech? I don't know. Take care later. This FTX thing will be crazy when everything comes out. So many connections, in my opinion. Important people were here. Yes. All right, guys. Thanks again for joining us at CTN Crypto Talk Now. On behalf of myself, Larry, and the rest of the Crypto Talk Now network family and staff, may all have a blessed night. Watch the latest quant video. I'm going to, of course, upload another one here soon. And we'll see you on the next one.